fingerprint, or you have to go for, I think, health test. You have to do your health check at Dr. Poto. You have to go and do all the things. So what I did was I put all those small fees together, and it came up to about $600. So when you add this by 47,000 people that applying for visa, let's say just 1% or 10% of Liberians, it come up to about $29 million, right? $29 million, that's what Liberians are spending on visa application. I didn't do 2024 because I never had the time. Now, if you move forward to places like Nigeria, right, the cost, this is Liberia GDP was at that time 3 million, right? And then now you subtract that from the GDP, you get 26 million. So Liberia on the first hand is losing $26 million every year just from 2020. And then you come to Nigeria, which is one of the big countries, 190 million people in Nigeria. You take the same thing, follow the same numbers. You find that like Nigeria alone was spending $376 million. So the whole African continent had to sit down and say, hey, if we are spending, let me take the thing from the Dr. Josh, can you help me take that from the screen, the message? Okay.
All right. Go ahead,
okay,
Stevie. Go ahead, make it.
Yeah, so if you look at the whole continent of Africa, West Africa alone, not the whole continent, but just West Africa alone, $2 trillion is being spent on visa application coming to America. Someone in West Africa, not even the whole Africa, somebody have to sit down and say, if we are losing $2 trillion every year, $2 trillion every year to visa application, how can we stop our people? Or how can we encourage our people to stay on the continent? And like I said, this is business. America don't care whether you succeed or not. Once they get a smart case they want from all the schools, that's their target. Everybody else fail. You understand? Whether somebody believes this is a business or not, America is making just $2 trillion just from nothing. We put an application out there, people apply, whether they pass or fail. The government of Liberia don't ask that question. Nobody in Africa asked that question. So America make the money. So I'll tell you one last thing. When I applied to bring my sister to my wedding, my sister and my sister-in-law and my mom, I think my uncle, 3 of them were denied. Out of simple mistake, I never got that money back. $600 I spent that time. So besides just coming from Africa, those of us in America, when we're singing for our family, when we pay that $1,000, they get denied. Nobody asked questions why they were denied. You can't even talk to the Department of State or anything. So that's just what I wanted to share. I hope this helped our discussion.
All right. So thank you, Dr. Positive. I would like to go to the studio. I don't know if our studio guests actually have someone on the line, or you would like to give your own input. Freedom FM 87.9. If you have, definitely. Okay, just let us know if you'd like to weigh in on the topic as well. But Dr. George, let's go back though. You know, we're talking about all of these visa denials. And I know, you know, Darius DeLeon, I didn't follow the story, so I don't want to quote it. Darius DeLeon, that was one of the topics that he was going to try to look into, why the massive denials, why people have been rejected left and right, and all of these different things. River Says Pro is asking me a question here. You know, as a host, I don't want to get into it, but let me address this thing. He said, he said, Brother Sharif, are visa to the U.S. a privilege or right? Are they obligated to approve applicants? No, they are not obligated. And I think that is why they do the vetting process. Even those who win the DV, they are not automatically guaranteed to actually be granted visa. Some of them go through things. They will find technicalities. They will find a lot of different issues why they may not qualify for that particular visa. So we are not saying that the United States of America is obligated to give every Liberian who walk into the embassy to give them a visa. That is not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is, when you look at the ratio, when you look at the number of people that are being denied versus those who receive the visa, there is something that's not adding up. There's something that's not adding up. And basically, you can come back and look at this and just say, okay, well, could it be that those individuals who are applying, clearly they do not have any intention of going back? Because that's exactly what the U.S. ambassador to Liberia said, that most Liberians are being denied because they have found out that Liberians, when they have issued a visa, and they come to this country, they have no intention of going back. So, Dr. George, let's start from there, from what the ambassador is saying, that we issue you visa, and then when you go, you overstay your visa, you don't want to come back. Can we truly blame the American government or the embassy in Liberia for being so detailed and looking at people and scrutinizing every piece of their information before issuing visa?
Well, at a level, it's true. I mean, just what you said, because I had to do analysis of a 10-year, looking at a 10-year analysis of visa, right? During the Ellen Johnson Sirleaf government, there was more trust in the Liberian government. There was more trust that Liberian power, they will come back. There was hope that the Liberian economy was going to grow. So people who travel, you have more people who are going to issue visa during the Ellen Johnson government than during the George Weah government. But if you take the money statistic of the current government, right? Let's say I'm going to take from March 2024. In March, only 83 visas was approved in this current government. So that's the lowest. That's the lowest since we entered the Civil War. Only 83 visas were issued in March 2024. So this sometimes you think is the embassy denying that's the problem. The problem is that it's a statement that is being made, first of all, of your society. That your society is not strong enough that your citizens are willing to come back to that society. It's a lie. It's true that many of us who travel, we are not willing to come back if we see the opportunities available. So that is true. And many people who were in a position of who had good jobs before in the Ellen Johnson Sirleaf government, most of the jobs are not available. Companies are falling out of the country. So there should be something that the embassy is saying that they will trust. So for this government alone, let's take the present government, they have two. In June, only 90 visa was issued. So in 2023, we have the highest denial in Liberia history. 78.19% of Liberians were denied visa in 2023. That's the highest denial. So it's a statement to our government. All the big more want to make that fine, we can make all the big more want to do, but the issue is that are we preparing our country in such a way that when Liberians travel, they are willing to come back to Liberia? Are there job opportunity? And that's why the senators who making this argument, they should first of all they should be demanding that the Ministry of Labor give us a job report every month. That should be something that should be demanded. How much job are we creating in our country every month? Let us start publishing those statistics. Perhaps it will help people to think in the embassy. The second reason is that many people who travel these days, they travel because they come into conference, they come into birthday party, they come into so if my traveling is for a birthday party, right? And you live in a country where I'm the consular officer, I see there's no job, nothing, and you're being invited, for example, for Stevie wedding. It's difficult for you to get visa like that. It's extremely difficult because you are coming on a pleasure trip from a country that does not have a lot of pleasurable things for you to do. So
I just agree on that one, brother.
I'm not saying if you agree with me, but what I'm saying, we should be very mindful of the indicators we had according. Let me give you this example. The first time I came to the US, I did not go for interview. My visa was brought to my office. Yeah, it was brought to my office. It was channeled to my office. I was called and I picked it up. I did not go for interview because two things they saw was that one, I was going to come back to the job I was doing, and two, I was not a flat race to anybody. And that's what I'm trying to share is that there are certain things you when you're traveling for, definitely if you're working in a university system or you're working in other systems, you're coming for an international conference, you're coming for big discussion. Those issues is very difficult for you to be easily denied visas when you come into.
Judge, let me tell you a quick story here, and I'll make a PSA here real quick. You know what? Let me do this PSA to our viewers on let's say Freedom FM 87.9. We are actually at the 55 minutes mark, so we got 5 minutes to be on the radio. But this conversation is actually going to continue online We are going to be on YouTube. We are also going to be on Facebook. Just look for Liberia Shall Rise, and you will be able to find us online. The conversation is going to continue, but those on the radio will be airing out here by 5 minutes. So we want to thank you guys. But Dr. George, let me say this to you. Let me say this to you. One of my friends, he was telling me a story when I was in Liberia. The guy said, my brother, we all put our money together and we were going to travel to America. And he said, we came up with this thing that we're going to go for a church conference. 18 people.
Yeah.
18 people. They show up to the embassy. They said they're coming for a church conference. One by one, all 18 got denied. And what they did was they have actually paid money to another group of people, a company, and that company was going to be the one that would make sure they get visa. They were going to be the one scheduling this this meeting in America. One by one, they all got denied. They got denied the visa, and they never got that money back from that company that took that money and tried to give them this conference. And all of them,
and that's because of the proliferation of churches in the country. It's not like when we were growing up, there were traditional churches that are respectable, and I'm not saying your church is not respectable before you come after me. Your church is responsible, but there's a proliferation of churches in the country. So, and this proliferation of churches, they don't have relationship with the embassy. Some of the things, especially these churches and meetings. One of the things I learned in my last institution is that there is a whole section of the U.S. Embassy called the Public Affairs section. Within that public affairs section is where your organization have to have a relationship, so that the U.S. government can the relationship will make them to understand that, oh yeah, this is an institution, this is a respectable institution, and the men and women that work in this institution are respectable people. That relationship have to be built. But when you have so many churches and Come to Jesus International, everybody running to Crest International here, and they're coming for conference to Brothers or Sister International, the name of the church and the conference is not related. It's difficult for anybody to make that. It's something that we need to think about. But
Dr. George, just take. Sorry. Finish your point. Let's take a call.
Yeah, I think our government should take this responsibility of knowing that this denial of visa is a reflection of our governance in Liberia, and they should make it. They should work towards making that they improve that reflection. In Nigeria and in Ghana, they used to deny them visa crazily. I remember. I mean, finish with one story. I remember this vividly. There was a time at the U.S. Embassy in Nigeria, they decided to have us sitting at OSA before when they call you kind of line. What they're doing in the Liberian Embassy now, you sit down on some kind of funny place there at Benson Street. When the people are ready to call you, kind of stay online, whether you read on something to walk before you get in the embassy. They did that thing in Nigeria, and one of the high chiefs had to go on there. The foreign ministry called the U.S. embassy. You cannot do that to a high chief. So they metamorphose. They make sure they have a special section in the embassy where respectable officials. We have a country where our ministers are being denied visa. That's a disgrace to our country. Where our member of legislature is being denied visa, that is a disgrace to our country, and we must correct this. We must call the American embassy ambassador in a closed-door meeting and make him to understand that this cannot continue to happen. Because if it happens, we should also start denying American official visa to Liberia.
Like they hear.
All right.
Dr. Poston, go ahead.
We have a caller, gentleman. Hello, welcome to Liberia Shall Rise. Your name and where you calling from?
This has been a regular listener, Riverside AB. I mean, Riverside Pro. I'm known AB Ibrahim. You call me. How you guys doing?
We're doing good. We're doing good. The floor is all yours.
Yeah, great conversation, man. I mean, I like it. These are things that affect all of us. But I have two questions, and one of them has to do with the geopolitically, how important are we? How significant are we to the United States? Do we see them in the same light as they see us? That's my first question. I mean, geopolitically. I mean, because I made a statement when America has partnership that they would defend Israel, Taiwan, their NATO allies, but I don't think. Do they have that same commitment to Liberia if we were being attacked by, let's forget about the Civil War, they didn't do anything attacked by foreign nations. And then my next question, I know Brother Sherry kind of started with that, what's the name, the lady who had the 26th
Speech.
oration.
Mm-hmm.
For me, I felt that it was not a replication. Yes, her speech was glamorous. It was great. It was well articulated. But the occasion when he's talking about America having a fair share, I don't really think they owe us anything at that particular time. We were not colonized. I don't know if she was demanding reparation for what. I don't really know. So, and then I want to tie this question to Namibia. Recently, I was watching the news. They kind of like they have restricted visa to people coming to, because I think Germany and other nations have visa restriction where they have certain people. So they want a free visa. The same way the Germans, Namibia was colonized by the Germans. But now they got German Namibia, but then they got German people who go there. They have visa free for Germany. Germans and other Europeans. So what they did, they stopped it. They said the same way that we have free visa for you guys, we want the same. And if you guys cannot give us a visa waiver, then the same way we can, we have to struggle to go to your country. You guys need to struggle to come to ours. So, would you guys recommend anything of such when it comes to Liberia? Will you be willing, if the government, all three of you guys, if the government was to come up with a visa restriction today, say, you know what, all Americans, all of you who put us through this stringent process that we being consistently denied on a higher basis, if the Guada government was to come up today and say, you know what, let's restrict visa to these guys, would that be anything? Would that be something that you guys would kind of approve of? That's my last question. Thank you for having me.
All right.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Rivers.
I want to close. Let us close with Freedom FM, and if they're off, our viewers on Freedom FM, thank you so much for joining us. We're going to be back next weekend with This Could Be You. We're going to have Toyua Harris joining us, a Liberian IT specialist will be joining us next weekend. So you all have a wonderful time. It was wonderful being with you on Freedom FM. You can join us on our YouTube and Facebook page if you want to follow us. Mr. Sherry, what Bira said process is important in international relations, especially for visa regime. There's a lot of the reciprocity, right? You do to me, you do to me, I do to you. That is the reason why we Liberians get, when you go to the Liberian embassy, to the U.S. embassy, they give you 1 year. If you go for B1, B2 visa, they give you 1 year multiple entry. It is because the Liberian government charges American citizens $200 and give them 1 year multiple entry. If you go to a country like Nigeria, Cameroon, the citizens are normally given 10 years, between 5 to 10 years multiple entry, because that's the same thing they give to American citizens. So you're right. But you see, let's take our family, for example. You cannot be the beggar in a family and many people respect you. No matter how much gray beer you have.
Man, I hope people can hear me clapping for you, Dr. George.
How much you come, you can be the beggar in the family. Countries that Namibia, they are far ahead of Liberia. Namibia, Botswana, those are countries that get the act together. We not because they're in Africa, they are like, oh no, they.
But Dr. George, like you always said, those are serious countries.
Good.
Those are serious countries.
Namibia can tell the German government that if you don't give our citizen visa free, we'll not give your citizen visa free. In the whole thing, you have to have something to offer. And as Jackie Mark said in her conversation, they need to deny Nigerians and Ghanaian visa. Many of us who were in Nigeria and Ghana need to deny them crazily. But it has changed because what? Ghana and Nigeria have been able to put themselves in a situation where majority of the citizens are engaged in serious business with citizens of America. They have been able to utilize the AGOA Act, which many of us Liberians are not even utilizing. They have been able to utilize AGOA to get themselves into businesses with the USA. So they travel, they are in and out. The country gives jobs opportunity for the people. They have a lot of African Americans. We should be what we Liberians should be enjoying. We are the one that these slaves came to our country. But Ghana have taken this whole thing from us, and they are making billions of dollars every year from it. So we don't have any, I may not say anything, but we have not strategically thought, what is it that we have on the table that we are offering this country? Our president traveling, and not to get in your politics, but our president traveling, every time when the president come back, all get on the air, we're listening. Oh, Mr. President, what you brought back for us? We're not become a backup country now. We all went down with president travel. We said, now, what you brought for us? Why the other people get that shows.
Dr. George, let me hold you there for a second. This is good. I'm so sorry. Our friends of Freedom FM missed this part. But I was clapping for you. Because in Liberia, we have a little parable. We say beggars can be choosers. If you say you're going to tell the Americans, and you tell the Americans, say, we'll deny you visa, they will laugh at you. What benefit does it do to them? Right? But no, this is a good discussion to have. You know, we're begging the people. We want them to come to our country because it gave us this little bit of prestige. We want to be your children, your stepchildren. You may have to even lay down, we'll lay down and beg you. But here's the thing, man. Please let our government officials be serious about this. Let them be serious about it. Because look, the statistic that Dr. Positive was showing, that statistics is beautiful. I mean, when you look at the economic impact, it's not just affecting our country. I mean, hopefully we give him back. It will balance at some point in time. Because at one point in time, when you look at the economy of Liberia, had it not been for remittances coming from the West or coming from Europe or coming from the United States, the country will collapse. You will have another Venezuela. But, you know, there are people in this country, in as much as Liberians may look at it and say, oh, those people, they're doing this kind of job. That the people are, they are actually supporting the government of Liberia. There are people in the diaspora here who are business owners in Liberia. There are people who are actually sponsoring students to go to school. And there are people who are actually investing, building, and doing a lot of different things, and all those things. So they are actually keeping our economy afloat. And so
Sharif,
I want you to go today, and let's try and wrap the show up. So go ahead.
Yeah. So I just wanted to add two things quickly. Want to respond to Riverside Pro on visa restriction to Liberia. I know you guys said because we are beggars, we can't have a choice, which I kind of disagree with a little bit, because I think we do have a choice. Because as a people, first, when we are inviting people to Liberia, right, we're not checking their criminal record. So child molesters can come to Liberia. Criminals can come to Liberia. I mean, a whole barrage of people can come to Liberia and cause harm to our citizens. So we do need to have some form of restriction. We shouldn't have open door policy, not just for America, but any country anybody that is coming from overseas, they should have some form of restriction before coming to our country. Now, the second person I wanted to respond to was Wida. Wida said, did the visa denial happen under any specific administration? I don't think we searched that, right? So, Mr. Wida, I don't think we really researched that to see if it's happening on a Democrat mode or if it's happening on a Republican or on a Joe Biden administration or on an Obama administration. We didn't check that, but I think America have records enough that we can look at that data and maybe probably share it later on. So I just wanted to respond to your question, Mr. Wheeler.
The highest visa denial for Mr. Wheeler, the highest visa denial so far, the highest now is the 78.90% in 2023. So that is the Biden administration. You can
say who administration that was.
The highest was 73.93% in 2019. That was somebody else's administration. So that is the second highest for 2019. 73.93% denial was of Liberian. So even the heat of COVID and other things, we didn't have crazy denial as we got in.
But Dr. George, there's a correlation. I think the people were not even trying to come to America during the COVID because they said our white people sickness. They didn't want to catch it. So they say
Yeah,
Liberia.
But Mr. Sherry, you made a point. I want to close on that point and leave.
Please do.
I'm not feeling forgetting the thing I wanted to say at that time. But I think you are making a point of I'm feeling my thought has gone.
We'll come back to you. We'll come back to you.
Yeah.
But gentlemen, this was a very good discussion. I will still give you guys your closing statement for you guys to close on it. But we had a lot of wonderful participation. I really like this input from our good friend and brother, Emmanuel Bro. He said, look, he's a Liberian. He resides in Minnesota. He came in 2011. He came to the U.S. on a DV visa. Smart Liberian guy. Smart Liberian brother. I can tell. The man name alone, I can tell. He's a smart guy. He came on the DV visa. And he said, here's this thing. Liberians coming to visit the United States of America, stop overstaying your visa. Simple. If you do that, you'll get some kind of respect. That is Mr. Bro. That is Mr. Bro. I think they're very smart. I think he related to Mary Bro. Mary Bro is the one that keeping that city clean.
Yeah, Mr. Sherry, let me just that is point out 2 points I want to make. On that thing, one thing, Liberians who are traveling are not understanding the overstay. When you're giving a visa in Liberia, you are giving a 1 year multiple entry most of the time. Your stay is given to you when you get to whatsoever international airport. When you meet the custom officer, the ICE officer, they will determine how long you will stay in the country. Most of the time, they give you 6 months, or on the average, it's 90 days. So you have a lot of things to do in the US within that 6 months and go back home. And you still have another 6 months because you have multiple entry for a whole year. You still have another 6 months to go to Liberia, come back, and before you go for another visa interview. Now, this is the point I wanted to make, Mr. Sherry, and I will close on this point. We have to be serious as a country. Recently, our president came to visit this country, and he accepted an invitation to attend a function in Winston-Salem, North Carolina. According to the official communication, our president could not attend that occasion because the Secret Service said they could not offer him security in Winston-Salem. We have to be serious as a nation. We have to be very serious as a nation. Because when our president traveled, he traveled with his personal security. If a president's security felt that it was good to be, why is it that determination would have been made? Why is it that that invitation? I don't know how important it was to the president, but I know he accepted it. I saw the flyers and I saw the invitation to those programs. As a country, we have to be very, very serious as a nation. The way we behave, the way we act, the way we interact, the way we think is very important, even with a visa regime. So for my fellow Liberians that listen to us, when the president travel and come back, we should not be on the radio listening to, how much money he bring for us, how much they want. Our president should not be backers.
Mr. Judge, let me disagree with you. When you went back to Liberia, how many people, you just came back from Liberia, how many people came to visit you to say, oh, Papa, what you bring for me? People got to come and see you. But anyway, let's end the discussion. Let's end the discussion. Dr. Positive, I really want to close with Dr. George today because I always close with you. So take your 1 minute and do your closing statement, and let's end the show with Dr. George this afternoon.
All right. So again, thank you folks for watching. This is a serious discussion, and I showed this statistic earlier. If Liberia is spending $26 million a year, hypothetically, it could be more. How many people are applying for visa and they are not getting visa? Somebody in our government have to sit down and say, why do our people want to leave us so much? Why is all our young people leaving? How can we prevent that from happening? This is the purpose for being in public service. Do something to encourage your people to want to stay. Today, China is the world #1 manufacturer, right? Everybody trying to buy something from China. Liberia can provide some service to the world that can make its people to stay. Like I always say on this show, Liberians speak better English than Indians. Today, the World IT Help Desk is in India. When will we realize that service or providing some service to the world will make our country important? We now have to sit and start working on that and encourage our young people that our country have a lot to offer and create jobs, opportunity that will make our children want to stay. There are some young people that don't even want to come to America, but they have no choice. So let's give them a choice to have something better to want to stay in our country for. Again, thank you all for watching. If this is your first time, please follow us, like us on Facebook, on YouTube, and share this with somebody so that together we all can help to make this beautiful country of ours better. Again, Mr. Sherry, thank you for giving me the opportunity to be on your show.
Dr. Positive has set it up because I cannot talk as much as he's talked. But ladies and gentlemen, those of you who are thinking about going to the U.S. Embassy to get a visa, think about the reason why you want to come to the U.S. I mean, it's a country of opportunities, but you have to be prepared for those opportunities. If you are coming to visit, make sure that you have certain things in place and you are ready for coming to visit. And as one of our speakers said, don't overstay your stay. You will always want to come back again. You have 6 months to be in this country. Anytime you travel, you can come for half of those 6 months, go back, develop a relationship between you and the U.S. Embassy. But again, I hope you see that the denial rate to our government, whenever we see this situation where our citizens are being denied this visa, is a reflection of the kind of government we have in our country. And when you see our citizens trying to leave the country, it's the reflection of the kind of country we have. Until we as Liberians can build a country where we appreciate and where the rest of the world will see it as a place to be, we'll continue to have this situation where in 2023, 78.19% of the visas application were denied. Have a wonderful day.
All right. On that note, we say we come to the end of another broadcast today. Thank you so much to our friends in Liberia at Freedom FM 87.9. Thank you for bringing the show live today. And to my panelists, Dr. Positive and Dr. George, we got too many doctors on the show today. Love to thank you guys. Thank you. Thank you for bringing your expertise. I really appreciate it. Next week, to our viewers, I just want to remind you, next week is the third Sunday. It's the third Sunday of the month. So we are going to be here. Dr. George is going to be doing a one-on-one interview with our guest of honor. And our guest next week is going to be Toyua E. Harris. And Mr. Harris is going to be here. This is the segment we call This Could Be You on the third Sunday of every month, where we highlight a prominent Liberian. Whether you're in Liberia, you're in Europe, or you're in the great United States of America, we bring a prominent Liberia to show the world that Liberia is not all about the Civil War. Liberia is not all about corruption. Liberia is not all about molestation, but Liberia have experts in their different field of specialties, and they are doing wonderful things around the world. On that note, we say thank you for joining us. Enjoy the rest of your Sunday. And those in Liberia, we say good night to you, and we look forward to seeing you next week. Stay tuned for another broadcast next week.